Welcome to episode number 71 of the Roundtable. I'm Grant Brisby here with Marc and Andy McCullough. Marc, how you doing today?
Just another coastal elite looking at this World Series and thinking, oh, awful. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Everybody's getting all mad. I'm just kidding. It was a
He's
joke. I'm
just
fine.
kidding.
Grant, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Andy, how you doing?
I'm in the corner. My name's Kevin Ginkle. Oh, that's been going through my head for several days. We've reached postseason psychosis mode. Like you know, I was able to get home in between the DS and the NLCS. I didn't even do the wild card series, but I've been on the road for a while, man. Like I'm doing laundry at the Fairfield Inn. Like it's, you know, we're getting after it here. And I got Kevin Ginkle on the brain.
Do the Beyonce. Do the Beyonce. Come on, you got to save it for the pod. Look at
this is This is shout out to Dr. Caroline Matas of Princeton University. Kevin Ginkle ladies, Kevin Ginkle ladies, Kevin Ginkle ladies. It's just in your head all day.
Yeah, it is. I was more like a bang, bang, Kevin Ginkle slider went down in the dirt. Bang. Marc, you got one?
I'm compelled as a member of the management team of this vertical to inform you and to remind you that we do have an employee assistance program that is easily accessible for people enduring any kind of mental duress. So if you need any of those services at all, just let me know. I'll get you all set up because your well-being is really important to me.
Come on, man. You don't got a Ginkle song?
No, I do not have a Ginkle song. I don't understand it. You guys have been tweeting about this. You guys have been talking about this. You guys have been slacking about this. I do not get it. I'm not in on the joke. I'm out. I must be a full-fledged pizza eater at this point because I truly do not understand what this is.
The game.
Marc, I'm just glad you ditched last week's zoot suit and you've gone back to dressing like you're being Steve Garvey for Halloween or whatever. So congratulations.
Thank you. My zoot suit.
No. All right. I guess we got to talk about the elephant in the room, the World Series. I don't know if that's really the elephant in the room. It's just, I don't think we need to spend too much time on what went wrong with the Phillies or, you know, what Houston could have done differently. Because I'm excited about Diamondbacks Rangers. I think it's a fun matchup.
Could I take a 20-second time out? Because I agree with you real quick. I want to talk about the Diamondbacks and the Rangers. I just want to ask something of our Philadelphia-based anthropologist here, Andy McCullough. If this is the more kinder, gentler Philly fans, the reaction that we saw afterward, what would this have been like when they were still throwing batteries? I'm curious.
Hey, so Marc, you've been in this business a long time, right? Have you ever had a boss who's a dumbass who gives you assignments? And your boss is like, hey, Marc, we really want you to write a story about the kinder, gentler Philadelphia fans. We think the battery tropes are pretty tired. And you go, oh, okay, well, I will do that because, you know, I want to appease my boss. Well, I'm in a situation like that. And also, if you walk into your bathroom in your palatial estate in New Jersey, you will find a mirror and you can look into that and see who's the No, I mean, I will say that, look, I think the Philly fans are, I think they're as passionate as any fan base. I think online they're as funny as any fan base.
I agree.
You know, I think that the atmosphere at Citizens Bank Park was bonkers for those 4 games. And even for, you know, game 6 and game 7, where obviously the Phillies did not play particularly inspiring baseball, like game 7 was a hot crowd. Man, they were desperate to get back into that. And so, yes, it has been, I think, amusing for, you know, the Schadenfreude types to enjoy, you know, Phillies fans openly turning on their team, you know, being like, hold on, let me do a Philly accent. Yo, I don't ever want to hear that song ever again. Okay. Yeah. Caleb Scott, whatever your name is, dude, dance by yourself. All right. We're dancing together now. Now we got to get a song where we dance as a group, not no individual dancing, taking selfish at bats the way Castellanos was, you know.
Dude,
so that's
been all Philadelphians talk like a Muppet? Like, what?
I mean, I don't know, man. That was about as authentic as I thought.
It
We were
was,
on
it was.
WIP for a second.
Well, there's variations. I mean, that's the thing is I do a pretty hard, like close to mine dips into Baltimore at times. Anyway, I mean, I think that it is. I do think where the Phillies go from here is interesting. I know we're going to get to the Rangers and D-backs. I do just kind of want to say a couple things about the Phillies having spent like 10 days around them. I think that they are a club. I said this to someone. I said this to a couple people, when there was discussion about like switching up their batting order. Do you want to move Bohm out of the 4 spot? Do you want to put Real Muto in there? Should you move up Marsh? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sort of the issue with the Phillies is that so much of what they do is based on voodoo, right? That you can't really mess with it once you've got a formula that theoretically works. And if you look at this roster, like, yeah, they need to get some pitching. They're going to play in the Aaron Nola market. They got to, maybe think about a trade for another sort of starter, but like their lineup kind of is the lineup. And it's the same story with the Dodgers, right? You need your best players to hit, or at the very least, you need your best paid players to hit. And they did not have that in the final, series of games. And so I don't know. I think the Phillies became a postseason juggernaut when they took 3 of 4 from the Braves, which, as any of you guys know, that's a pretty small sample size. Maybe they weren't a juggernaut. Maybe they were a good team who won a series against a better team in front of a raucous crowd. I don't know. But we should extrapolate further.
It's the postseason, baby. Things can happen.
Just to correct the record, by the way, because the Philly fans are going to hear this, and like Mailman John's going to get all mad. Like, I am not amused by them being mad. Amused is the wrong word. Like, I do not take pleasure in it. Like, I'm not like sitting here like looking at it like the bonfire. I'm not doing any of that. I just think it is indicative of how much these folks care. I think it's really cool. All right. Like, and it's cool. I mean, they're passionate, man. It's what it is. So no, I am not, just for the record, not amused by this. Not amused. Have I noticed it? Sure. I noticed it. No, but I'm not amused by it.
You can be amused at the anger of fans, but it's not like a character judgment, because we've all been fans of teams. We've all felt that way. Maybe we've lost it to a certain extent, like Mark with the Niners and Grant with the Warriors, but like we still, you can connect with those feelings. And it is amusing when, your friends who root for other teams are in pain in the same way that they're amused at your pain. Because it's low stakes. It's the fun. Sure. That's the fun. All right,
fine. Thing. If you say it that way, sure.
Like, okay. Because you're not happy that the Phillies fans are, losing their, like watching that video of Phillies fans walking out of, the stadium. You're not being like, yeah, that's what they deserve. You're like, wow, that is funny. Like different emotions, I would say.
Okay. All right. That's fair.
I'm just objectively hilarious.
Yeah. I want to go on record as saying I'm deeply amused. It's just, they are the funniest fan base when they lose. Like there's just no, it ties in with they're the funniest fan base in general, but when they lose, it's, it spills over into that for different reasons. But yeah, it's no team wears a tough loss like Phillies fans in a way that's like deeply emotional for them and also deeply amusing for us.
Okay, I'm going to say something that's going to enrage some of the roundtable heads, I think.
Yes, sir.
They are certainly better losers than the Braves fans are.
Ooh.
Because the Braves fans are just like, that wasn't amusing at all. That was just like, ugh, you guys, like, hey.
A little bit of excuse making.
Yeah.
A little bit of a temper tantrum.
Yeah. Let's chill a little bit, guys. Like, yeah. So, okay. Like, yeah, there's definitely been a difference there. I think that the Braves fans are still mid tantrum. Honestly, they're still burning.
They should be. It's a brutal way to get bounced. And you're looking at the Diamondbacks in the World Series, 84 wins.
Oh, speaking of voodoo.
Yeah.
Ooh,
hey, look, you've been around the Diamondbacks for most of the postseason now, right? Okay. Cover them in the DS. They crushed the Dodgers. Cover them in the CS, where they displayed some serious metal. Not the Meshuggah kind, but the MTTLE type. Down 2-0, they go home. You see the sign, inspired by the sign, snakes alive, and they have remained alive. They beat a better team with Brandon Fott, friend of the show, who had a 6 ERA during the season, and in a bullpen game, and again with Brandon Fott in in game 7. And that's like, hey, look, if you're an 84-win team and you use the back end of your roster, right, the non-peak of your roster to win, like, that's impressive, man. And they deserve credit, and I think you can get into a larger debate about whether this outcome is sort of, good for the game, right, to have an 84-win team playing in the postseason against a 90-win team. Like, is that really what the game should be showcasing or whatever, right? That's a separate debate than, like, do the Diamondbacks deserve to be here? Of course.
They won.
Of course. They were allowed in and they've won. Those are the table stakes, right? Like, you let them in, this is what can happen. Now, as we've talked about on this show, I think all of us were against the expanded postseason. We didn't, I don't think any of us were like, yeah, let's put in more, and I think we can all agree, right, that, like, trying to defend that system when it is essentially the product of owners who want more money and, television executives who are willing to give it out and want more programming, you're kind of missing the point, right? Like, it's not like, we were clamoring for, like, no, we want more postseason, right? But I don't know. They're separate things, because, like, I think that this series is going to be fun.
Sure.
I really do. I think it's two interesting teams. Now, is it going to be compelling from a national perspective? I don't know. But also, like, Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth region is huge. The Phoenix region is huge. I hope this is, like, the highest rated series ever. That would be so funny to me, because you just have these two massive metropolitan areas. Like, that would be great. I don't know. We'll see. I'm rambling. Sorry, guys.
So, well, I'll tell you what. Like,
I got gink fever.
Gink fever.
Just a quick reminder about the EAP. That's the Employee Assistance Program. Look, I am not a Northeasterner. I live here now, right? My kids were born here. Like, this is where I am now, but I am not a Northeasterner. So, like, I remember when we'd get a matchup like this, just being so irritated hearing that nonsense about, there's not a Philly, New York, there's no Boston, this is boring. Man, these are giant areas. And I think it is actually, in a sense, good for the game not to just see the typical usual suspects every single year. I get it. Like, it's probably mathematically not going to make any sense, right? Like, we're going to have lower ratings and all this stuff. But I don't know. Like, I think we got two teams with, like, fun players. Okay. And, like, yeah, they're not as known as others, but these are good players. They're gonna be fun to watch. They got different styles. I think it's gonna be interesting. And why not? Why not change it up? It's not a bad thing. Like, these teams have fan bases too. I mean, why not?
I go back to, I think I would like any variation in the postseason. I would like to go back to the pennant winners in each league and no other playoff teams. Like, just go straight into the World Series. That would have a certain compelling. It would make the regular season bananas. I would also enjoy 2 more expansion teams in a 32-team tournament that starts, and it's just it's like March Madness, where you lose one and you're out. I think that would be bananas. I think that would be fun. Whatever. I like all postseason outcomes, formats, and I don't care if people are mad that the Diamondbacks are in. They won. And they won looking great. They won looking like a team that should be in the World Series, because that's what happens. Whatever team makes its way to the World Series, like, even when it's Jeff Weaver going nuts and getting the Cardinals to the World Series, they look like a World Series team by the time they get there. And I don't know. I'm good with that.
Well, we talked about this, I think it was last week or maybe the week before, that one of the unique things about the sport, obviously, is the length of the season. And with the length of the season is that the team changes so much. And the Diamondbacks are a perfect example of this, because what they were before the trade deadline and what they were after were very different. And I think they had some rough patches even after the deadline, certainly. But I mean, that's a whole different club, right? I mean, there are guys, like, think about all the players. And I made a joke the other day about Madison Bumgarner's getting a ring, but, like, in all seriousness, I mean, the Diamondbacks had, like, several mainstays of their franchise that started the season with them that aren't around anymore, that were released in August, September, or whatever. So it just tells you how quickly things change in the sport, because the season is so long, and that, this team's fundamentally different. It's a good team. All right. I mean, they got a negative run differential, right? Like, I mean, that's been really well publicized and all that stuff. But, they have earned this. I mean, they won these series. They played well when it counted. And you've had guys step up. We've all seen it. I don't think that should diminish it at all. I mean, yeah, they're minus 15 for the season. But there have been, there's a team that won a World Series at a minus run differential, Minnesota Twins in 87. So even that wouldn't be unprecedented. This stuff happens in the sport. Is it increased the chances, obviously, that it happens with a wider playoff pool? Sure. But sometimes I wonder if the arguments I hear about this are are really about not the playoff format, but how much luck is involved in the sport, and if that's a problem, guess what? Then probably don't understand how the game works. This particular game is so predicated on luck. It's just what it is. Doesn't matter what the playoff system is.
Yeah, I guess the question though is if you understand how much luck is involved, do you want to control the postseason tournament to reward the teams that overcame all the sort of spots of variance in the course of the 162 game season, and then create it so that the teams who have a chance to win the championship, even if they do get lucky or, and the better teams get unlucky, the team who gets the luckiest, you can look and be like, well, that team won 97 games. I mean, that was a good baseball team, I think that's the issue. It's just how many people do you want to admit into this tournament? And obviously from 32. The league's perspective, sure. I mean, sure. Okay. I thought they had a good system when there was 4 postseason teams.
No, that's the sweet spot for me.
Yeah.
That's 4 postseason teams. Go right
3 division winners and 1 wild card. Yeah. Because we've talked about this ad nauseum. It creates an incentive to race towards the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Because all that matters is just getting into the dance, and all that matters is getting, being good enough, right, to be available to play in October. Now, the D-backs, they're not a team that raced towards the middle. They tried their hardest to race toward the top, right? They went out and, look, we as roundtable heads will know, we have been on the D-backs all year.
All year.
We like them in the beginning of the season. We've always, they play a good brand of baseball, competence. We love it here at the roundtable. It's what we're all about, that and pro labor. And they play hard. They do things, as Torey Lovella said, we do things here in an uncommon way, which bless that man. And it's not they're not a team that had 93 true win talent and traded away guys to slash salary or stuff like that, right? That's a team that had a young core of players. They went out at the deadline. They tried to be aggressive in spots that made sense. They promoted their guys. They got Corbin Carroll, and rather than, futz around with service time, they give him $100 million, which is going to look like a pretty good deal for the Diamondbacks, but also, they gave him $100 million based on 30 games. So that takes whatever, that seems like a fair deal for both sides. They did some things that theoretically, pro labor fans would like while not spending a ton of money, if that makes sense. They're building up a position player core in this idea with Carroll, Moreno, theoretically Lawler, Drew Jones, that, could compete with the Dodgers on a regular basis. And they just kind of happen to be good enough this year to, kind of sneak in, and then they play good baseball. So good for them. The question is just is that something that the sport should want, that is an option? Or should they want every team to be just trying as hard as hell to win 95 games?
Yeah, yes. The answer to your question is yes. They want both of those things. I don't know. Right. I just exciting young talent like Corbin Carroll. I mean, and that's what got the Diamondbacks here. That's the only reason the Diamondbacks are in the postseason. The only reason they're in the World Series is Corbin Carroll. Not the only reason, but without Corbin Carroll, this team is the Pirates. This team
he's their best player by far.
Yeah, and he's willing them to this World Series. And I think you have to celebrate that, whether it's 84 wins or 95 wins. And yeah, that's my hot take. What I keep going back to is Ketel Marte. And when the Diamondbacks lost 110 games, everyone's like sniffing around, going, "Hey, you gonna eat that?" With Kettle Marte, there's like, "Hey, can we trade for him?" And he signed an extension that was kind of ludicrously owner friendly. The thought process of the Diamondbacks trying to sign him to extension obviously made sense, but his belief that this 110 losses, 10 games under 100 loss team, that's an absurdly awful team. And he saw the vision. He said, "No, I like it here. This is great. We'll win. We'll go." Like, I'm very happy for Ketel Marte.
Yeah, he's as Mark, you used to talk about this with Freddie Freeman, right? You never saw him, like, he batted 800 when you were in the building.
Yeah.
Ketel Marte is like that for me. Going back to when he was on the Mariners and I was covering the Royals, like every game I've covered that Ketel Marte has played in, he's gone 2 for 4 with a double.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just can't be stopped.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, dude, Freddie Freeman's got something like a 1700 OPS when I'm in the ballpark. It's unbelievable. So who's yours, Grant? I'm curious since you brought that up, Andy.
I think it's Kyle Tucker. Like, every time I'm watching Kyle Tucker, it's just like, I am the best baseball player alive. And then when I'm not, like, his numbers aren't saying that. He's a good player. But every time I'm watching him, he's like Neo Mike Trout.
Yeah, I think we all have one. Yeah, like, how about the difference of when the D-backs can run, when the track meets on, the trouble they cause. Baby, like, that is so much fun.
The Phillies did a good job of kind of slowing that down.
Yeah,
in part because they just kept Carroll off the bases for the first 6 games, but then they started to, in Game 7 especially, you saw the way that their speed can really be a factor.
He did it right away. That was the thing. Like, Carroll got on base, and like, you could already, it was like the tenor shifted because it was like, "Ooh, that's a problem. That's a problem. He's on base. That's a problem." And then,
it's not like the Phillies are playing Bobby Escalera back there at catcher. Like, it's JT Realmuto. Like, they're doing this stuff against him. I don't know much about Jonah Heim, but I'm assuming he's not JT Realmuto when it comes to gunning down the base runner. So that could be a factor. It's probably time for equal coverage and talk about the Rangers. I like the Rangers. I think they got a good. Here's my one prediction for the series is that one of these teams' bullpens is right now they are Wile E. Coyote off the cliff. Yep. One of them's going to look down. One of them's just going to go, "Oh no," and the other one's going to be the road runner, and just like the physics don't apply, and that's what's going to happen. I don't know which one, but both these teams, I don't like the narrative of, well, the Diamondbacks have a shutdown bullpen. No, they don't. They don't. Like, I get that Kevin Ginkel has been doing well, and I get that Paul Sewald has righted the ship, so to speak, compared to what he was doing for most of the second half. But it's not a shutdown bullpen, and the Rangers are worse when it comes to like actually having a bullpen you can rely on. So that's my one prediction.
Yeah, I do think the Diamondbacks did a really good job of leveraging their guys against the Phillies, but they also used kind of the same dudes over and over again, and kind of used them in the same pockets, and it worked against the Phillies. But that, as we know, is a pretty tough sort of strategy to do in a 7-game series. I mean, it's something that we've seen over the years, and like watching, the Astros, for example, right? Like when they've had that elite lineup that like the 5th time or the 3rd time or whatever, they see your 7th inning guy, like you might be in some trouble. And the Rangers right now possess the sort of offense that's capable of doing that. I mean, Adolis Garcia obviously took a massive star turn in that ALCS. I mean, what a one-man wrecking crew. Right. Yeah. Crushing the hopes of the Astros. That is serious. I didn't get a chance to really watch all of it because I was at the other one, but like I was really impressed with what Texas did in Game 6 and 7. They take the early lead in the series, they go home, the Astros kind of do the Astro thing, right? Where they kind of demonstrate the hearts of champions, the team that they've been, right, for the last 5 years. They go back to Minute Maid, all the momentum or whatever is on the Astros, and the Rangers just kicked their ass for 2 nights in a row. Just kicked their ass. I was stunned by that. Not stunned that they won, but just that they kicked their ass. Yeah. And so, you're looking at that offense, kind of unleashing it against the D-backs, you know, and a team that look, they're going to be able to push Zach Gallen a little bit. Maybe they'll push Merrill Kelly a little bit. But when you get into games 3 and 4, again, you got Brandon Fought, who's like 18 batters max, and 4 bullpen game like that. Ooh, that's tough. That's just it's the same problem that the D-backs theoretically had against the Phillies. Like, it's tough to navigate.
Dude, it is interesting, like the exposure issue, right? When the high leverage arms get seen more and more. Like, I think it tells you how good these players are, right? Like Major League Baseball players, like, and a lot of times these high leverage guys are there for a reason, right? They either throw really, really hard or they're doing something with their spin that makes it very tough to square them up. And yet, you know, you take good major league hitters, you show that stuff to them enough, and the outcomes start to change. I just think that's really interesting. I mean, the same thing with like the third time through, obviously, but seeing it with like some of these fire breathers out of a bullpen these days, it's just like, it's a great reminder just how skilled these guys are. God, they're really good at this, really good at this. So
I will say that if you could create in a laboratory a reliever who was specifically designed to flummox the Phillies, it would be Kevin Ginkel. It would be someone who could just do a wipeout slider, back foot to lefties in the dirt against righties. And the Phillies, that, you know, that's their obvious kryptonite. With every hitter that they have, with the exception of maybe Bryce Harper, you just know that that's coming. It's almost like when I used to watch Aaron Rowand and he got to a 2-strike count. It's like, what are you going to do here? Oh, wow, it's a slider in the dirt. You know, the Phillies are kind of built that whole way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a little bit more diversity in the Rangers lineup. You know, Corey Seager is always going to be, you know, tough to get out. I think that, you know, they have guys who can hurt you in the bottom part of the lineup that the Phillies theoretically did, but none of those guys particularly played well. You know, Nick Castellanos had 1 hit. You know, Brandon Marsh had some good at bats, but, you know, they have a dead spot in Rojas. Rio Muto was like, you know, Trey Turner was pretty brutal near the end. So who knows? I mean, I will be curious to see, you know, kind of which bullpen breaks first. I think that the Rangers have the sort of offense that can break the Diamondbacks bullpen, even if the Diamondbacks bullpen is executing. I think that the Rangers bullpen is more prone to misexecution. And so it'll kind of be, you know, like who blinks first in that regard, because, you know, watching some of these at bats, like watching Aroldis Chapman, he's 3-0 to every hitter.
Oh, man.
And then he throws the 3 best pitches you've ever seen in your life.
101 on just the splitting the line on the box.
And Yordan Alvarez is like, how? Like, you know, how did that physically get, you know, right? And you know, but at some point, right, he's gonna just throw ball 4, or at some point he's gonna groove a fastball.
Right. He's gonna get
right?
he's gonna get hammered. Yeah, like that. I mean, you know, he's gonna get Altuve. Like, you know, like and that's always, you know, at least the last couple of years with him, just been the bargain. Like,
what is interesting too is like with all those Rangers relievers, like kind of at various times this postseason, they've all sort of failed, right? The D-backs haven't really done that. Like Paul Sewald hasn't blown a save. Kevin Ginkel hasn't blown a save. And so you can argue either like, well, they're due, or like they are incredibly mentally strong. You know, we just don't know.
Or both. Because we just framed it as like, which one breaks first? Both bullpens are going to break probably. Right. Like, so then it just becomes, and this is why it's so, 7-game series with teams like this you can't predict anything anyway, as John Sterling would like to tell you. But like, also this is even more so with this setup. Like you like, I mean, who can say, man? Like, because once the bullpens break, and they probably will, it's just like, well, what now? You know, like I don't know. I mean, like I wonder what that would actually mean. Like in a scenario where both bullpens are, you know, and this is very easy to see, right, that they're struggling, right, that the D-backs have run out of gas, and the Rangers remember that they're the Rangers bullpen, right, and they become issues. Then what actually decides this, right? Like I would guess it's probably who's going to put more balls over the fence, and in that scenario, then I think it's Texas, right? Like that's where, to me, like, you know, we talk so much about all the things, all the nuance about the sport, but like, you know, the thing that's universal still, it feels like, who's hit the most homers, who's kept them in more, right? And more, and like yeah, Texas will give up some dongs, but it feels to me like that's a lineup also that's very, very capable of wiping out some of those deficits or extending a lead with like one big swing. Like certainly you bet on them to do it more than Arizona would.
Well, what Arizona figured out, and it took them 5 games, was they just should not pitch to Schwarber and Harper, or at the very least be very, very careful about how they pitched to Schwarber and Harper. And they're going to have, they took advantage of sort of the cold spots in the Phillies lineup, because the Phillies was the team hitting home runs in that series. And the D-backs were, they were playing Diamondbacks baseball. They were getting them over, getting them in, type of stuff, which is generally does not play, right? Like it's nice to have a sacrifice fly, but a 3-run dong by, Adolis Garcia is going to be more effective.
Correct.
So it's just going to be sort of determining like, okay, are there spots that we can work through this lineup? Is there, who are guys we really need to avoid? The problem is that there's a lot of guys who can do damage in that Texas lineup. I mean, that is a really, really ferocious group. I mean, they're one of the best offenses in the sport all year long.
Let's say that Arizona pulls it off, right? Man, they've conquered some pretty good offenses, huh?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
With 2 functional starting pitchers going into the postseason. Like I get that Brandon Pfaadt has leveled up, and that's great. But at the same time, I did not see this coming.
Dude, they would have slain some giants as far as like offensive clubs go. So pretty impressive.
Brandon Pfaadt at times has looked like their best starter.
Yeah, no, he's
talented. Right? It's Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen's going to get Cy Young votes. He's pitched well at times this year. He's had some tough outings for other times. But like Pfaadt, we've teased this young man on the show because of the spelling of his name and all that sort of stuff. But like, there's a reason he was the top prospect coming into this season, right? Like he has really good stuff, and he's been able to work. In the last 2 series, he's been able to work, sort of that sinker up in the zone, which I recently learned is a thing people do. I guess Jordan Montgomery does this too.
Alex Cobb does it.
Yeah, pairs it with the sweeper. They also has the slider too. It just has good stuff, and they're basically giving him, like an 18 batter, 4 or 5 inning, sort of lane, and he like his performance in Game 3, swung the series back to the Diamondbacks. Now, is he going to be able to do that, against a Rangers team who, might not be sort of fixated on swimming in the pool? We don't know. Poor Garrett Stubbs, man. Guy was just talking shop, and
I know. Like the whole house landed on him. Poor guy.
Yeah, just having a little fun, man. That's Phillies fans turning on Garrett Stubbs. That kind of bummed me out.
Yeah.
Because I just want to say, like, as reporters, we want guys to say interesting things.
Sure.
That was an interesting little comment, and so you don't want to see guys punished for being interesting,
right?
Unfortunately. Anyway, what were we talking about? The World Series. It could happen anywhere, but you can only find it here.
Do you think Yasiel Puig peed in the pool when the Dodgers? What?
Grant, has any person ever gone into a pool and not peed immediately?
Yeah, me.
Oh, did I just tell on myself? All right.
Yeah, wait. No, this isn't the shower. This is the pool.
Producer Brian, let's move on.
All right, let me get us back on track.
What kind of podcast is this?
No. All right. Damn it, Andy. All right, no, I'll get us back on track. Oh, Kevin Ginkle. I know I love watching you throw.
Jesus, I'm going to need to call the EAP. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
That's going to be stuck in my head. I think I got Kevin Ginkle stuck in my head. Although I like all the Kevin Ginkle ladies. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, the roundtable heads, I've heard from a few roundtable heads being like, where's the show? Like, it's Tuesday, how come we didn't get a show? And I was like, we're saving up. Like, we got a big one coming. And it's this.
This ain't coffee in the mug.
Oh man. It's a good matchup musically too, because you have the D-backs have the best anthem of any team D-back Swing by Roger Klein and the Peacemakers. If you've ever covered a game in Arizona and the Diamondbacks have been fortunate enough to win, you've been fortunate enough to hear D-back Swing. It rocks. However, they're being they're pitted against Creed, which is an incredible matchup. The resurgence of Creed, like I'm pretty excited to hear Creed tomorrow night at Globe Life. I'm going to be pretty amped for that, I think.
Yeah.
Not a fan, huh, Grant?
Hey, listen, they are working.
Sold too many albums.
Oh yeah, no, I'm the hipster here. No, they're fine. They're whatever. It's
funny.
It's ironic. I don't know. I don't like ironic songs as far as like getting your team motivated. Right. I
don't know if it's ironic.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it didn't start. It's not like some guys like I'm gonna play Creed as a goof.
You don't like ironic songs as like who was that in Oakland that would play Careless Whisper? That wasn't cool to you.
Josh Reddick.
Yeah,
was it Reddick? I forget now.
Mike Morse would do "Take on Me," and like yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the irony.
But those are good songs. I mean, Creed was considered a bad band, so I don't know.
True.
I don't know. We're getting deep in the weeds.
Well, we saved up for this.
What?
Well, see you later.
Yeah, right. I don't know, man. I don't know. I got Rangers in 6, but who can say? I think Eovaldi and Montgomery provide a not significant advantage, but I think I favor them over Gallen and Kelly. But at the same time, like Wheeler and Nola, I favored over Gallen and Kelly, and it didn't matter. So, if it who do you feel better about, Brandon Pfaadt or Max Scherzer? A crazy sentence, but it might be Brandon Pfaadt.
Yeah. I'll go Diamondbacks in 7 just because it's chaos. You know what I mean? I think I chose when we did the staff predictions on the actual site, I chose the Rangers. And I can't remember my reasoning there because I spent so much time researching this. It's hard for me to remember where my prediction landed there. But I just think it's going to be chaos. I just think there's stolen bases. You're going to have people running wild. You're going to have a Tommy Pham hitting 600 or something. There's just going to be something. Producer Brian says Grant forgot who he bet on. No, I mean, you want a list of my prop bets, man. I am in. I got some, like Andy was talking to some guys off the record. Really good stuff informing my bets.
Okay, here. Hey, what is the what were the odds on the World Series winner? Like what is like I'd imagine Texas is favored by like how much though? They're like
I don't
minus.
I don't gamble on sports, Mark. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. Although if before the season, when I didn't know that you're not supposed to gamble on baseball, right? If I had thought about it, I would have put some money on the Diamondbacks to win the World Series because I was like, we all like to brag on the Diamondbacks in the very beginning. On them early. And I bet you they were like, I don't even know what the betting lingo is. Plus 500,000.
Okay, so Texas Rangers minus 170.
Okay.
D-backs plus 150.
I don't even know what that means.
Is particularly enticing.
Nah, not enticing at all, actually. Plus 150. All right. Anyway, this is for entertainment purposes only, obviously.
Hey, speaking of entertainment purposes, have you guys been tracking Torey Lovello's receipt keeping?
I'm amused by it. Yeah,
it's so funny.
Like he references it all the time.
Every day he comes into the press conference and he's like, I heard someone said was talking crap about our team. It's so funny. It's just every day. Like there's a news like, I know no one picked us. He's like, oh, I saw their backup catcher said he's going to be swimming in our pool.
Yeah,
he's like, oh, I saw, Chris Russo said he's going to retire. Like it's great. Like Lovello just comes in every day and he's like, hey, someone else, insulted us. And I just want you guys to know that I know it.
I should say stuff to try to get on his receipt list.
Yeah.
Rangers in 4.
I thought that you were talking about like literal receipts, like he's expensing things on the road.
No, but like I've had that vision of him in his office, like the Homer Simpson glasses on, just sort of like looking through the CVS receipt and going, I didn't buy this conditioner. And then like calling one of his coaches in, like Brent Strom coming, hey, Strom, like I've envisioned this. just because it's so funny. He references receipts constantly, and it's so fun. I love the bit.
Yeah.
When I hear receipts, I think Mitch Hedberg's joke about getting a receipt when he gets the donut. You guys know that?
Yeah, we did not need to bring
ink and paper into this. Yes. Producer Brian says odds before the season to win the World Series, the Rangers were 50-1, which seems, that seemed like a pretty decent bet. And the Diamondbacks were 125-1.
Oh, man.
Wow.
So, I mean, yeah, I should have, I don't, this is a bit. I don't gamble, but I should have, at least for them to win the pennant.
Like, I wonder who had the longest odds and won it. I'm sorry. I'm just curious. Like, who do you think is the longest odds to have won a World Series in the last 50 years? Off the top of your head.
I don't know.
I would say the 91, was it 91? Those teams were both in last place the year before.
Yeah.
And Minnesota won it, so I would guess that. Just because, it was Atlanta was in that World Series, and they had both finished literally in last place the season before. So, but I don't know. I guess I should look this up later for entertainment purposes only.
Entertainment purposes only, yeah. Yeah, I can't even. The Giants in 2012 must have had long odds, but that can't be.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Chris Russo actually went through with his promise to retire, and then the Diamondbacks won the World Series? They would have won a World Series and then won a Nobel Peace Prize in the same role.
Stop. Who are these people who actually get mad at the people paid to incite you on television? Right? Who are the people who fall? The people who just fall for this every time. Can you believe what this guy said? It's yes, he's paid to make you say, could you believe what this guy said? He's the best.
He's good at his job, man. He's great at it.
Hey, who put this rake in front of me? I'm going to step on it. Poof. Oh, man. Oh, geez. That rake. What a jerk that rake is.
Yeah. No, that's just a nice job by the rake. Right?
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah,
totally. Rake's just doing his job, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree. But that's also why I don't consume, that's just that brand of infotainment is not for me. And that's fine. It's
you don't have one guilty pleasure in that sphere at all.
When people complain about ESPN personalities, I just don't care. The only thing I care about is that Skip Bayless's brother is really fun to watch, and he makes a good taco. That's as much. That's as close as
he's a great chef. True.
That's as close as I get to one of those kind of shows, and it's just not for me, so I don't consume it. And I feel like there are some people, and it's not for them, but they still consume it, and I don't understand why. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, WFAN's my guilty pleasure. I get about 20 minutes of that in the car every day. It's just about enough, but I'm not gonna lie. I think it's hilarious.
Kind of like the Phillies losing.
The 2002 Florida Marlins finished in 4th place, 79 wins. They might have been the longest odds in 03.
All right.
Producer Brian said that they were 75-1, biggest long shots to win it all.
That's
nice.
Crazy.
Oh wow, he did that on his own. Oh, good for him. Sorry, I was just doing I was doing my own research.
Doing your own research. Yeah.
Yeah, like other people who appear on ESPN programming. What was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't know. It should be interesting. Producer Brian also wants us to talk about Bob Melvin to the Giants and Buck to the Angels, and I don't think any of our brains can handle that right now. I just
no.
I have to write about Bob Melvin to the Giants right now, and I have no idea what I'm going to say. So good luck to me.
My cousin owns his favorite restaurant in the East Bay.
What's that?
My cousin happens to own Bob Melvin's one of his favorite restaurants in the East Bay.
What is it?
It's a place called Great China. It is really good, actually.
Where is it? In
Bob used to be in Berkeley.
Okay.
And yeah, I think as I understand it, Bob was a semi-regular in there.
Grant tried to get in on the games in the clubhouse, according to sources.
Wow.
I don't gamble on cards, just baseball. All right. This has been episode number 71 of the Roundtable. We'll be back next week to talk about baseball, the World Series. We will watch the first, we'll have 3 games under our belt, and we will wildly overreact to those 3 games the next time we talk.
Yes, sir.
That's the Roundtable guarantee. So we'll see you then.